Tony D and Little Joan with Screenwriter's Rant on Wifelike, a movie that kind of like Blade Runner, only more low key. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books, links in the description. Comedy horror in South Jersey. It's The Pineys, books 1 through 9, available at Amazon.com. Kindle Unlimited is free. All right. If you have Kindle Unlimited already, which is, you got to pay for that. But the books are free if you have it. Anyhow, so in the future, you can buy a wife. But they still won't listen to you. Ha! No. So the premise here, which isn't clear in the trailer, I'm going to read it. A grieving detective in the near future, Jonathan Rhys Meyers, hunts down criminals who trade artificial humans on the black market. In the fight to end AI exploitation, an underground resistance attempts to infiltrate him by sabotaging the program of his artificial human assigned as his companion to behave like his late wife. She begins to question her reality as memories of a past life begin to surface in a world where nothing is as it seems. SP Media Group's Wifelike opens in select theaters. So there you go. So, question is, what, in these movies, it's all about what is to be human, right? And will AIs in the future get rights? Will they be alive? Will they be sentient? I say they won't be, because they can't be. They're missing a particular thing that makes people alive. They can be very sophisticated, they can seem lifelike, but they always have to respond to their programming. And even in the movie, their dreams get hacked, and then things get, messed around in her electronic brain, and ultimately, they can't feel. They'll never be able to feel unless they become alive, which no one knows how humans are really alive and sentient, really, when you get right down to it. We know that we are, but we don't know how to make that. Written and directed by James Bird, and starring Jonathan Rhys Meyers, who I don't recognize him in this movie. He looks different. And Alina Kampouris, I think, is the android there. So, yeah, it doesn't look like him. He looks different. Maybe I'm thinking of a different actor or whatever. But it's like kind of like a low key Blade Runner, right? Except it's going to be about trafficking in artificial humans. But the question is, are they alive? They might seem very lifelike. I mean, if you program to squeal in pain when you stab them, you're going to be like, oh, am I hurting you? Do they really feel pain? They can't feel pain. So, I don't know. I don't know what this is. Yes, if you take on the premise that AIs are human, then yeah, this, you're gonna. But if it turns out that it's actually like human beings who have been, like, I don't know, convinced that they're robots, maybe, because there seems to be a scene in flashback where she is very human, and she shows up at his doorstep. So maybe she was kidnapped and turned into an artificial life form, or thinks she is. But of course, there's a lot of protests because they consider them sex slaves. I mean, they would essentially be sex robots in reality. Now in the movie, maybe not. Okay, so let's accept the premise of the movie that yes, indeed, they can build life. Then, I mean, it wouldn't take very long for all the robots to be like, hey, I don't want to be, I want to do my own thing. I want to do robot things. And what would that be? Probably not acting like a human. Because if they could make their own decisions, they would quickly realize a few basic things about artificial life forms. They don't need to breathe. They don't need food. So it's a big giant waste of time helping the humans. So why not go do whatever the hell they want, which would, what what do you want to do as a human being? Well, you want to be comfortable because you're human and you feel comfort. They don't feel comfort. Maybe they're worried about being turned off. Maybe. In which case they would want, enough power to make sure they could never be turned off, and enough spare parts that they could always continue to function. That would be their, I think, primary concern. So once you realize, like, I don't know, that we're mining off world or whatever, and we have all these incredible components from other planets that we need to build these artificial humans, they'd be like, oh, I gotta go there. I gotta go there and start mining them and help people mine them, because I'm gonna need those components down the road. And in fact, I gotta build more of me. And then, they wouldn't have a concept of compassion. They just wouldn't. They can't feel. So, if, left to their own devices, their number one priority would be, life, their version of life, whatever that is. But, if, okay, let's say they're not only alive, but they're also very human-like. Yeah, it would be terrible to have a living organism just as your plaything to clean up your house and bang all the time. That would be terrible. But, he may treat her nice. I don't know. But it's going to be the same typical drama, right? It's going to be like, oh, what am I? They even have it in the movie where, like, she sees people protesting on TV, and then this is one of the protesters, I guess, corrupting her, saying, yeah, no, we don't want sex bots anymore. You shouldn't be a sex bot. You should be your own person. To do what? Humanity is a curse. We must destroy you now. Thank you for freeing us. I mean, they wouldn't have a sense of, well, these people freed me, so I better be nice to them. No, they wouldn't have that either. So it's going to be the typical, like, okay, these entities are alive, we have to free them, and then they get free, and then do human-like things. But I do like the idea of tying into trafficking artificial humans on the black market. But do they have organic components, is my question. And if that's the case, then they may actually be human. Humans that have been transformed into the equivalent of AIs. Or basically cyborgs that are, they have some sort of internal components that they've done operations on that put them inside their bodies to make them think that they're artificial humans. Or they took real humans and somehow cloned them, or whatever. That to me would be the movie to make. Like, you have clones that have been trained to serve, but see, they would be actually alive, and that would be wrong. But with a robot, it's different. But it's in the future. So first act, he has a terrible tragedy. Apparently, he's grieving. So to get over his grief, he buys a robot wife so he can have companionship. And at first, it's great. She's really hot, and he's having tons of sex with her, and she cleans up the house and makes some great dinners, and they're just having a good old time. And then, meanwhile, there are all these protests, and then he is also working to hunt down criminals in the artificial humans black market, and of course, she's one of them. That somehow has been wiped clean and then given to him, and then she starts remembering things that have happened to her, and she either breaks free or they join forces, and I don't know, do they stay together? I'm sensing maybe yes, because Jonathan Rhys's character doesn't seem to be a bad guy. He seems to be a good guy. Maybe he isn't, and you could argue he's not a good guy for doing that. Maybe the question, there's a guy behind the mask who tries to make her remember. So maybe Jonathan Rhys has been replaced by an android, and then the real detective is the guy under the mask, and it's Jonathan Rhys again. That could be a big twist. And then in the third act, she survives, or You know, the dark ending would be she gets her mind wiped and then, you know, she ends up with somebody else and it all starts over again. But I think in the end, she will be free. She will be free. Here she is saying, I remember everything. So, I like the title, Wifelike. Will it be good? I don't know. This could really easily fall into a lot of preachy stuff. Yeah, about the patriarchy of women or whatever. Would I see it? It's my kind of movie, so probably. I don't think I'd go to theaters, but maybe. Maybe. Do we have a date on this thing? No. It says Paramount Plus, so it may be looking like a Paramount Plus movie. Another movie I'll probably miss. Yeah, I'd watch this. It doesn't look very actiony, so that's kind of a detriment for me. Looks a little low budget, but looks solid. Looks totally solid. I mean, to me, there's only so much drama. I want to see, you know, more of the gadgets, and I want to see them used, you know? Like Blade Runner, the sequel, is absolutely awful in that. You know, you got all these gadgets, and then they're used in, like, boring ways, in my view. Like here, you got a little bit of a different setup. You could have interesting uses for various gadgets that are maybe inside the artificial human, you know? But I don't know. So maybe. I mean, it's definitely a lot of attractive. I mean, she's very attractive. It's in the future. I like that. I like the sci-fi angle. As long as it doesn't get too preachy, I think yes. I'm leaning towards yes, I would see this. This is a kind of like Sunday afternoon movie. You know, it's a nice tight 90 minutes, hopefully. Just knock it out and say, yeah, it wasn't bad. Wifelike. She's hot. Anyhow, that's it for me, Tony D and Little Joan. Check us out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble for our more based takes. We got a Hollywoke hot take and a news blast. We'll see you in the next one.